What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Breathe and Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Today, we have a great friend of mine, entrepreneur, successful businessman, smart guy, goes by the name of Adam Hindman, and his business has been taken off. I'm so happy to have you, brother.
Thanks, Mace. I'm happy to be here, bro.
So,
I'm proud.
yeah, we just had a little wedding get together for our boy Stan.
We did just this past weekend. Shout out to Stan and Laura.
Yes, congratulations, Stan and Laura. It's starting to make me feel old.
Yeah, we're getting there, dude.
I mean, everyone's dropping like flies. Dropping like flies.
Dude, you already know. Yeah, they're going quick.
It's good though. It's good to see, your friends find their one person, right? So
yeah, man. It's exciting. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. So, Adam, you've obviously had a background of being an entrepreneur. You always hear about people these days say, "Oh, like you're either born with this entrepreneurial spirit or you're not." And for you, I think the case.
Yeah, I don't believe in that, but for me, I think I was. I don't believe in that sentence, but I think I was definitely born with it.
Right.
For sure. Without a doubt. What did you say?
What about it don't you believe, as far as someone born with it or not?
I'm not, because I don't like the fact that, like, if you weren't born with it, you can't be an entrepreneur, because, like, anyone realistically could be an entrepreneur. But it's like that, the saying of, like, I could be a basketball player, but there's to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I'm not too good at my even layups, so, like, let alone the three-pointers. I'm no Mace, bro. I wasn't going back and forth every other season, just new season.
Yeah.
Like, where's the tennis courts? I mean, tennis.
Oh, tennis is tough, though. You got to have some seriously good hand-eye coordination to play tennis.
Oh, for sure. No doubt.
This guy that I follow, I think it was Ben Greenfield, but he's big on fitness and, biohacking and all this kind of stuff. And he was talking about like racket with ball sports, and how, like, with cognitive learning and just what it does to your brain, there's it's really good for your brain in those ways.
Yeah, that's why I got a ping pong table in my shop.
Yeah,
we need ping pong breaks, dude. Just to keeps your brain sharp.
That is essential. You got to keep the workday light. You got to keep it fun. Have some fun with it.
Yep.
So, speaking of which, tell us how this idea of Curb Appeal started. I mean, we can go back to even in high school, growing up.
Always the car guy.
Right.
One of the car guys, for sure. But no, more so like, obviously I got into painting. I was an automotive painter pretty much out of college. Worked into detailing, and then from there kind of started finding my passion. Obviously, for cars, that turned into what business can I start around cars. And for me, that was, starting a detailing company, which then just decided to move that and start that directly in Florida as opposed to St. Louis.
Right. Because I always remember you were just always a hustler at a younger age too. And
yeah,
there's just something that's where I do kind of believe in that. Some people just have a little bit of more gut for whatever reason or another, right?
And that's where, like, when I say I think I was born as an entrepreneur, because I can think back to stories when I was 5, like the craziest ways I used to figure out how to make money. I was, like, obviously past the lemonade stand. I was starting a taxi company to carry kids around the neighborhood on my BMX bags to, whole bunch of stuff, charging kids to play golf in my front yard to hit, $1 for 3 hits, like just scheming.
Right.
Scheming to the fullest degree.
Yeah. So did that because that's not normal. I mean, I don't think that's extremely normal.
No one taught me to do that. I was just like, okay, cool. My uncle bought me this golf club set. I can rent them out for, and then I was thinking, should I rent them out for like 10 minutes or should I rent them out per hits? And then I started thinking, all right, cool, let's rent them out per hits of the golf ball. And, we'll see how that goes.
That's pretty wild. Per hits.
Yeah, per hits, brother.
What were we charging per hits?
Oh, dude, I was charging like a few bucks and like, late 90s.
A few bucks? I was
Dude,
thinking,
they were asking their parents for them.
right. It's not even, yeah. I mean, you're not even taking, can I get a couple dollars to go hit some golf?
I get a couple dollars to go hit Adam's golf balls.
Oh man. I mean, the front yard wasn't that big for you to be hitting balls like deep balls.
Dude, we were hitting my aunt's car.
Where was the house at?
That was in Wildwood, man. That was the big house when my parents were married and stuff. It was a very, very small front yard.
Yeah. So I'm thinking,
Just enough little patch of green just to swing, really.
I'm just imagining some windows
I
getting,
didn't care where it went. I didn't buy the balls.
you're like, all right, $2, hand it over.
Right. Yeah, I was cool with that.
So this idea of a mobile detailing, obviously you already had a passion for cars in general.
Right. Yeah.
And you grew up, where'd you grow up your whole life?
St. Louis, born and raised there, by a great family, great father, great mother. And then moved to Florida. Yeah, about 3 years ago by myself. But St. Louis is the home. Florida's the new home.
Yeah. That's a big leap right there. So tell me like the mindset, the things that you're thinking about during that time. Hey, mom, friends, the only place I ever know, I'm going to pick up and just go halfway across the U.S. and start a company.
Yeah, like it was like the only really way I thought about it. I didn't really think like I never even had a thought in my mind of really starting a business in St. Louis. It was like, let's just kind of do all of this crazy shit at one time and just kind of see what happens. Because worst case scenario, I can always just move back with my mom. There's really no worst case scenario. So I went down and tried it, and it just like, it wasn't an overnight thing, or, it took months and months to kind of get it rolling, but it was enough cash coming in to where I could survive and, maintain off of purely cash flow and no investors to this point. And that's just from, kind of just the daily grind, which is, obviously what you focus on, Mace.
Right. For sure. And that's the thing. The biggest thing that you said right there is that you just did it. I mean, you had the idea and then you did it.
Quick.
People
Yeah.
and had that idea, but fear or whatever else it was, fear of failure, fear of what are people going to think about me or this or that holds them back trying to do those things.
Yeah. Most people aren't paying attention anyways. And the ones that are probably don't give a shit anyways. So it doesn't matter like at all. It's not even like ever a thing that I even put into the equation,
Mm-hmm.
Not worried about it.
Right. So when you're starting off and you are just going down there in straight van and you have your equipment for mobile detailing, right? So how are you finding clients in a place that you've never been to?
That was one of those ones. So I have two sisters that live in Florida. I believe I branched off of one of them, got one of her friends, did her car. And then from there, it kind of just took, then I did her mom and then her mom's friend and then her brother and so on and so forth, and just, kept multiplying that over time. But no, moving to Florida, I had zero clientele. I didn't even have my name finalized when I moved to Florida. I didn't even have a logo or like literally nothing, not even a website.
Right. So I'm sure there was a lot of sleepless nights early on, right? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, man, that drive to Florida, that first drive was just, oh, dude, it was so freeing. Like, it was like, let's go, dude. I'm in control.
Yeah.
Like, I can take this if I want. I can keep going if I want.
Right. That's a feeling that a lot of people, I feel like, don't have. The feeling that they're in control of their life.
But everyone has the power to possess that feeling.
Right. But what's the first step? Because I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not trying to speak for other people, but I've seen it where, it's like people get into a routine, into almost a simulation. I know people mess around a lot and say, oh, are we living in a simulation? But in reality,
autopilot.
Autopilot. How do you break away from that mold of your day-to-day ritual, which is good? Routines are good, obviously, but how do you
I think that's always like a prolonging thing, because like once I break a ritual or a habit, then I find myself in a new ritual or a new habit. So I think it's kind of like always that new adapting phase. But for me, it's like, all right, cool, I'm doing this. I don't want to be doing this anymore. I stop doing that. I take this bad habit, I cross it off, I replace it with two new good habits. And then once that's kind of a habit in itself, more so a new characteristic of myself, I stop worrying about it, and then that's kind of my new baseline. And then from there, it's like, all right, now what can I cut out? And now what can I replace this with?
Right. Speaking of that, you physically had a transformation as well whenever you moved from Missouri to
Oh,
Florida.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
probably one of the habits that you decided to act on, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was still honestly gaining some weight like once I was down in Florida, but yeah, there was because obviously I was working outside and everything, but yeah, from the peak, I lost about 80, just about 80 pounds.
And that's a lot of weight.
It is a lot of weight now that I think about it. Yeah, it's a lot of weight for sure. I mean, it's 20 off of 100.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's a big time life transformation in general for how you're feeling, how you like look, everything.
Body image, everything.
Yeah, that trickles down.
Yeah.
Were
And it
you
was definitely one of those things that was affecting me on the body image type of thing. Like I was feeling, I'm always like, it was kind of a mix of like being insecure about it, but yet I'm not going to go to a pool party and like not take off my shirt. Like I'd still be one of the first guys with my shirt off.
Mhm.
But like, so it'd be like the way I took off my shirt seemed confident, but in my inside, I'm feeling not confident. So now like losing that weight, and I'm not where I want to be now, but that's kind of like once you get the ball rolling of momentum, then it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm better than I was, but I'm not where I want to be. So like now I'm like 190 as opposed to, 265, and I feel great, but I'm like, man, I gotta be hitting the gym often, hitting, 2 days when I can, hitting the gym, going hard, watching what I'm eating, just trying to stay focused on my physical being too.
Yeah. And I tell people that all the time as far as, oh, I dread the gym. I dread the gym.
Yeah.
It's you go and you feel the results. And that's anything in life. You obviously at first things are going to be hard. Anything worth having, anything worth something is going to be hard up front, but it's almost just like eating too much or not working out, being lazy would be addiction. When you flip it, like you said, that one bad habit to the two good habits, you'll get an addiction in the same way. I mean, you legit dopamine hit and serotonin release whenever you are working out. It's science.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got to get the momentum ball rolling. Like for me, like when I get up and go to the gym first thing in the morning, like obviously getting up is a hard thing. I've adapted a 5-second rule into when I wake up every morning. Right when I hear my alarm clock, I immediately, the second I hit consciousness, I start counting down from 5 to 1. And typically when I hit 5 to 3 is my snooze. And then 3 to 2 is starting to get my hip momentum rolling. And man, I'm up and out. And then once I'm out, I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Man,
that's the first win right there. My first win is getting out of bed. My second win is staying out of bed for 1 minute. And then once I'm there, it's like, all right, cool. Now let me at least put on my shoes. Let me get to the door. I'm not saying I have to go to the gym, but like once I'm already at the door, let me just get to the car dressed. And then once I'm there, let's go to the fucking gym. Let's go get this shit done.
Yeah. Then you blast the music, you get a little caffeine, you start going.
Let's go. Yeah.
Dude. And that's
and then once you're done with that, you come out of the gym, you're feeling good. You're feeling sexier. You're feeling stronger. You're feeling sharp. I'm ready to make phone calls. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to start tapping into that work zone now.
Right. It's just one of those things that jump starts you too. I mean, the 5-second thing is the biggest thing, whether you're working out early or not. I mean, the 5-second thing is huge because, man, I fall victim to this one all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just roll over 10, 15 minutes. Literally 15 minutes. I'm just rolling around in bed like,
and that I find myself when I start doing 15-minute snoozes, dude, I could go through 50 15-minute snoozes and still feel tired. Like, once you start going down that cycle, 5 minutes is only 5 minutes, 10 is 10. You start justifying, and nothing's worse than justifying when you told yourself the night before that you need to get up at 6 and you're at 6:30. That'll start messing with your head, and then you're lying to yourself. Once you start lying to yourself, I think that's where it really starts like taking axes at your self-confidence.
Yeah, it does. It does in a weird way. We talked about this actually yesterday. I had a podcast that we talked about this on where it was same situation about being honest with yourself because you can feed people some bullshit and they may believe you for a little bit. They won't always if you keep doing it.
It's the shit that no matter what, no one's gonna know if you did it or not, except for you.
But that's thing. That's the person who is, we talk about like mental space, self-confidence, like ego, any of these things that are positive mind spaces and mindsets. That's all you. Like no one else. When
Right.
no one else is watching, when
Yeah.
lights are off.
And you can slip once or twice
Yeah.
and it's all good.
Nobody's
But like you keep slipping and like people are going to catch that vibe. People are going to catch that wind, and then from there you kind of start losing your, your name for yourself, your reputation.
right. Right. And that just goes back to, what do you want your brand to be? Who do you want you to be?
Right.
And like not your brand as Curb Appeal, but your brand as Adam Hindman. Like
Personal brand,
yeah.
myself. Right.
And
Right.
you answer those questions more than anybody else does in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like answer those questions to yourself in the mirror more than anyone else can pass any judgment or say this or that about you, So, and that's the most important as far as headspace goes, and we have an issue in the US of anxiety and depression and suicide rates and all of these other things that I think
all-time highs.
Yeah, all-time highs. And I think a lot of it is attributed to, social media and that ADD thing.
Yeah.
Like the ADD thing with the phone is huge too. I think
Oh, dude.
have created.
I do it myself. I'm on an app. I cancel it, and then I immediately open it again.
Dude, it's so bad.
And then I cancel it, and then I open it again.
Yeah.
And then I'll set I'll set your phone down. You set it down for 2 minutes. It feels like it's 15. I mean, it's weird, dude. It almost feels like it's almost like leaving more than your wallet when you're leaving your house now without your phone.
Yeah. And it's an anxiety thing too. If you don't know where it is, you haven't checked it in an hour. It's like crack.
Yeah. That's dopamine for you.
No, it is legit. Like
that's dopamine.
It is.
Have you ever done the dopamine detox, Mason?
Explain to me what the dopamine detox is.
All right, so I'm not going to give you the pure definition of it, but the dopamine detox is the theory of when you detox yourself from all dopamine, it then makes the things now that are not a fun thing to do, the work stuff, then a fun thing to do. It's like the same study as to where if you have to sit down on this couch all day long, but you can't touch anything, you'll start, looking at the fabrics of the couch. You'll start counting the strings on the couch. The littlest things can keep you entertained for an entire hour. So it's the idea of, dopamine detox is obviously no foods that really give you any stimulus. It's really no food in general. No anything except for water, no liquids but water. Obviously no phone, no TV, no internet. Really no things that bring you pleasure, if you will. So you pretty much have to look at it like, all right, I'm going to have the most boring day I could ever possibly think of in my entire life.
So is it 24 hours?
Yes, 24 hours. So you do that, the most boring things ever. And then once it's like, all right, cool, maybe I'll start, journaling, or, now I can read for 3 hours, and now reading seems like a privilege where before it seemed like a chore or a task. So then once you kind of start looking at it like that, then the really, really boring things become things that are kind of desirable, and you have no other stimulation that's coming into your space except for things that used to be undesirable that are now very desirable because they're giving you an extra normal amount of dopamine is being released from doing a quote unquote boring activity.
Yeah.
And I've done this.
Yeah.
I've done it about twice. One of them more so harder than the other. And it was, I did get a lot of things done that I've been procrastinating or not wanting to do, that then once I did them was like, I kind of had almost fun with that, like, whatever that task might be.
Right. It's almost also freeing to like separate yourself
out. Yeah.
And you have to obviously, I think when you're talking about this, and if we want to take it even a step further with the food, fasting, like dry fast, or not dry fast, but fasting, you can drink.
I fast almost every day.
Yeah. Like intermittent. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do eat, I have a pretty bad habit of eating later than I should.
Yeah.
But then once I'm up, I typically don't eat my first meal or even like physical thing until later in the afternoon. I typically go without breakfast or lunch, and then I'll typically start eating around mid-afternoon and then have like a dinner.
Yeah.
So for me, that has pros and benefits or pros and cons to it. But, intermittent fasting is definitely I think a good thing for me. Part of the reasons I lost so much weight and with that also was cutting back on the time I was eating, portion control, things like that.
Yeah.
Eating when I stopped feeling hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of the fads, if we're talking intermittent fasting, keto, Atkins, all these fads and things that people, right? So my take on the diets is it works for some people, for others
Yeah.
that's the one thing, because everybody's bodies are a little bit different. Second is it sustainable for your lifestyle? Because a lot of people start seeing results like for keto, but that's so hard because you have
keto's not sustainable. I mean, none of the ones you really just listed are.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting, some people don't like eating breakfast. For me, I'm a big breakfast guy. So,
and sometimes I'm in the mood, sometimes it's weird. Like almost 30 minutes before I wake up, I'm like, man, the second I wake up, I'm going to go run as fast as I can to the nearest donut store. Yeah. And then once I'm up, I'm not really feeling it anymore. I'm kind of like, nah, it kind of sounds gross.
Right.
But there are some mornings I'll go hard and I'll bash a hard breakfast, like Sunday brunches for me. Mm-hmm. I don't joke around with a good Sunday brunch. But typically on the workday with breakfast, once I find I'm out of the gym, I'm kind of getting my fasting going with that. And then I'm already kind of like, I morph into work zone pretty quickly. And then once I do, the work day's already kind of going and I'm typically already past lunch and so on and so forth.
About fasted cardio and fasted working out too. And there's a little, what's the word for it? It's like a resemblance within going to the gym hungry,
Oh, dude.
A little like.
See, for me, sometimes I'm like, yo, I go to the gym hungry. I might leave earlier, though, because I'm hungry as shit.
True.
Or it's like, you
got to play it. I don't like going to the
gym. You got to know yourself.
Yeah. I obviously need a little fuel. You obviously need to fuel your workouts. But
right.
I know for me, when I work out early, especially if I do legs, I'm hungry as hell throughout the entire day.
Right.
I'm just like,
you already know, dude.
Your metabolism kicks in, and I have a quick metabolism. I always have.
Right.
It's such a pain for me when I was in college and high school, trying to focus on gaining weight for football or whatever it was. I would just try and eat everything in front of me.
You're eating, but you just couldn't really stack it.
Yeah, dude, I just couldn't keep it on the way I wanted to because my metabolism and then activity level, especially in the fall when you have early weights and then you have a practice in 2-hour practice in 100-degree weather, and they would weigh us in and out when it was really hot, and guys would lose 5 to 10 pounds in a practice.
That's crazy, dude.
10 pounds in a practice. Big boys were losing like 10 pounds of practice. O-line, D-line, those guys that are really sweating it out, those like 10 pounds of practice.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So, but I mean, now that I don't play anymore,
how are you thinking about that? Like, do you miss sports?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I miss the boys and the bus rides.
Do you miss like the camaraderie of it more so than like the physical ball passing?
Man,
like you said, the bus rides, I'm sure the bus rides you could probably write a book on your bus rides.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a combo. I miss game day. There's not much thing of
and now are you talking Lindenwood game days or are you talking EHS game days?
Both. I mean, high school football is the most pure form of football there is because there's
Americana.
Not getting paid. It's pure,
right.
It's love of the game. The guys are playing because they want to play for the most part.
Right. Your girl can't wait to kiss you when you get off that field and we got to go to that banging party. It's just a different vibe.
I remember I used to get the biggest butterflies in my stomach. Like just
dude.
Giddy as all out, just running out on the field. And I did that in college as well, but obviously college becomes more of a business. Professional, it is business. College, it's a business.
You're trying to take it past there,
You're getting
a lot of high school guys are having fun with it while still few have the aspirations.
Right. I mean, most guys, majority of guys that are playing, obviously D1, D2 level for sure, are getting paid in some way or another. So anytime
Mm,
he gets involved with something, it takes, the politics are involved. It takes a little bit out of the game, and then it's a job at that point. I'm definitely grateful for what it taught me, but it does become more of a job. That's why I say high school is just so pure.
yeah. I mean, that's the time me and Jay, our good buddy, we were talking about this last weekend about how, I'm so thankful for our high school, days. Cause for me, I didn't go to college. So that was kind of my college realm. And, just looking at our whole friend group in high school, we're all unique and successful in all of our own ways and, different characteristics to all of us. But that's something that no one will ever really be able to take from us. And we all kind of always will have, those fond memories and that, the country school and stuff. I'm skipping school, going to do burnouts and shit, the fun stuff before
Man,
it got serious.
yeah, what a time. Eureka really is a great school, and just a great town in general.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of good people from there.
lasting relationships and memories, definitely, that all
No doubt.
good. I know everybody listening has some type of memory from high school, uh,
Yeah.
whether it be their first love or whatever,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
first heartbreak.
them heartbreaks hit hard, some of them first loves,
When it's the first one hits different.
you know, that first time, for me, that was in high school. Big Mason might have been middle school. Shit, who knows?
No, it was definitely high school for me too. Definitely.
Yeah, let's go.
But yeah, just great times and great people and memories. It's a weird thing looking back, and it's unique for us. I feel like that we have a group that has stayed pretty close knit,
Yeah. Yeah.
because people change over the years, especially from high school. We don't know left from right in high school. We thought,
Most people only have, one or two good friends that they still talk to from high school, once they're grown and reach pure adulthood,
yeah,
But for us, I think we'll always kind of have that good atmosphere. And that's kind of one of those things I think people rely on a lot, is having kind of an ever evolving group of friends, but always kind of having that set squad that you can call. You always need your boys to call. You always need your girls to call.
yeah,
People to get different inputs and opinions from.
right. And that also goes back. My dad used to always tell me, you are who your friends are. So that's why, I purposely, consciously try and surround myself with people who not are necessarily like-minded in their opinions in some way, but like-minded in their work ethic, like-minded in their mindset, like-minded in setting goals, respecting people, like the things that are basic to what I think is human nature in a good person.
An
And
exchange of values.
I-
You're exchanging
for
values.
right. And that's so valuable, because you can be molded by your environment without even knowing it, and making
Oh yeah.
that you may not agree with, but you're still making the decisions because that's the environment you're in.
Yeah. I mean, you're making the decision every day, regardless whether you're aware of it or not. That just comes into a question of how much self-awareness do you have. But we're always making, every person's always making decisions every day throughout their day, a million decisions a day that could forever impact the rest of their life.
Yeah, and that's the weird part about it, is because
But it's not the thing to get fixated on. If you get fixated on that, you start going down this weird rabbit hole,
yeah,
But it's being aware to the sense of, all right, if I take this road, that will lead me to this, and then this and that could happen, or I could do this and that could happen, or
right.
they could merge. There's just millions and millions and just unlimited countless ways that, life could go. And that just comes down to decision making. And, are you a good decision maker more than you're not?
Mhm.
And if you are, then you will probably lead a more successful and happy life if you're better making decisions on the fly and off of, long thought out decisions. I think they're both important.
Yeah, they are. They are. And it's okay to take time. I think a lot of times people jump to quick decisions because they're scared of either losing the opportunity, or they're scared of what this person may think if I say this, or if I say, no, I need to think about this, or if I question something that maybe people wouldn't question, but that just shows that you are comfortable in your skin is also,
It shows you're confident, It shows that, you're not going to necessarily back down just because you might break an eggshell or two.
right.
I'm not going to lose my personal morals or my personal values just because, you disagree with me on a certain subject. Doesn't mean you and I can't have a debate about that and kind of give our both reasoning and our both, both of our ideas back and forth as to why we've come up with that own personal belief. It's like my truth doesn't mean it's the truth. It's just my own personal belief.
Right. And that's unique to everybody.
Right.
So,
everyone has their own truth.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when you first started. You're getting integrated into Florida. You have this new business. You have this idea. I know early on you were going to a lot of conferences and like seeking out knowledge that you didn't have prior.
Right.
Tell me about some of those things that you were doing. I mean, some of the conferences, these connections that you're making, the people, the mentors.
Here's what I'll say about conferences. There's as you know, Mace, there's a big thing going on with the internet where this course and that course and this mastermind and, this big boot camp, where I look at them like, if I can come up with the question myself, I can find the answer for free on Google. So I don't go to these conferences or boot camps to get X to my Y. I go to boot camps to, hopefully meet a guy like you. You know what I'm saying?
Connection.
And I have done this. I've gone to 10X in Miami. I've gone to a few other conferences in Miami. I've gone to places in Carolina, just different conferences and things like that. But out of all of them, the thing that is still lasting to this day is the relationships I built at each one of those, that I still have those relationships in my back pocket to where, this guy's calling me out of the blue that's a lawyer, asking me what I think about, these new wheels on his Escalade. And that's just kind of one of those connections where, I shoot him back my feedback, him and I chat and we talk, but I know what he does and he knows what I do. So we both are always kind of reaching out to each other, checking in, but it's not as much so, I'm sure I still fill up notebooks of, little nuggets I take here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at it more so like, all right, I'm going to go to this conference. I'm going to be open-minded, because I look at it like, if you go to a conference, that everyone paid money to be there for some type of self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of one of those good environments where you don't have to, even if you are a naturally shy person or a natural fly on the wall, you don't feel like you have to be shy anymore. Like if you go to a weekend where there's 35 people and everyone spent $5,000 to be there, you should be more than comfortable to say hello to anyone, because people spend real money and time and effort to get there.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm looking for more so like, all right, how do I, create a good advertisement video? I'm probably not going to spend $5,000 in a flight to Miami to go figure that out. I'm going to Google the answer and figure it out in 5 minutes. So I go more so to meet like-minded people in a similar conference to what I'm interested in. And then I can network with them from there on out, and then maybe start a business with that person 12 years down the road from now that I met at this concert.
Right. You're good at sales, and just because of personality wise, some people are gifted with that ability to be able to talk to people, to be able to communicate. Obviously there's techniques and things that you can always learn in terms of sales. And when you're running a business, as you can attest to this, it's not just sales. I mean, that's important, but there's a big sphere of things that you have to encompass in order to be successful. So what are some of like those nuggets or those gold nuggets, those things that maybe you didn't know prior to starting a business, and either you learned along the way or you learned from experience the hard way, that, someone starting a business that's listening or wants to start a business? Because you're 3 years down the line and you've seen growth throughout your entire thing. So you started in a van, now you have a physical shop, you have employees, you're moving up, you're moving the pendulum. So what's
That's where
nuggets?
I would say one of my bigger nuggets looking back on is that I didn't actually think about as much beforehand. I would probably say like more emotional awareness when talking with your clients or even employees. So for example, like, not as much worried about the logistics of, profit margin. All right, I'm buying this product for X, I'm going to sell it for Y, but more so, if someone gives me an objection, not like, why wouldn't you want to buy my product? It's an amazing product. I'm giving it for you, so much value for, really a small amount of money right now. But if you start looking at it like, all right, what kind of value am I giving them? And, if someone says no, why are they saying no? Maybe their wife is sick and they just had to pay for treatment. So, it could be 1,000 different reasons. So from there, I kind of step out of my own shoes, as with anything, and try to get into someone else's perspective and kind of just shift that flashlight around and kind of just focus in on them as opposed to me. I think it's always, especially with sales, I kind of look at it like the 80-20 rule. 80%, hear what they want, what they're looking for, what their ideal result is. Because regardless of what you're selling or what service it is, like, people just want the result of it. Like, people don't want to have to call me to schedule a detail, to then me come and do it. They just want their car to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah.
Then it's like, how can you start backtracking that and then trying to start finding ways of saving them, adding as much value and convenience to them. So for me, that was like, let's be mobile and let's just go directly to their house. Let's already have water and power in the van to where we don't even need to hook up or even need to plug into a cord. Let's, incorporate online scheduling to where they can see our schedule, and then it'll just send me an alert and I don't even have to talk to them. And that's always kind of an ongoing thing. So like, how do we make your life easier and like to where you don't even have to think about it and it's just done?
Right. And I think what you do and how you've incorporated those things that we're talking about, first off, the basis idea of a mobile detail, I even find myself sometimes not wanting to
it's mobile everything. Mobile detailing is kind of one of the first, I would say, major businesses that really got wide national, like world scaled mobile, if you will. Past that, because like, in your opinion, Mason, like, when you think of like a mobile service or like a mobile, it's really a service, but like, is there anything past like a mobile detail that you think of?
Dude, I think of other essential things. I think of, first, my thought was, and this is new,
things that you could do mobile with, or things that are already mobile?
The things that are already mobile, it seems like almost, like a electrician or AC unit.
Sure.
Shout out Justin. Things that people need, and no one's gonna not wash their car if it's dirty. I mean,
right.
You're not gonna be rolling around in a dirty car all the time. So whether you're doing that manually or you're having someone else come do it for you out of convenience, I was just thinking even how mobile detailing may have been ahead of the wave when it comes to, you can get groceries delivered out to your, like, someone will deliver your groceries these days. Someone will deliver your food. You don't even have to go through the fast food drive-in. Forget a fast food convenience. Then they'll drop it at your door. I mean,
right. So that's the thing. It got that convenient. They were like, yo, we can just put a window on the side of this building and then they don't have to get out of their car. And then that was good for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then time continues. And then it's like, wait, how is that not convenient anymore? It's just not convenient enough. It's just not. And now it's like, all right, I don't even want to leave my house. So now let me bring it to your house. Yeah. And then, what's past that? What was that article that was a while back of like Amazon having a certain code where you can get in with Ring doorbells to where they could open up your front door and set the package inside and then shut the door.
Dude, it's
there's a lot of mixed debates about that.
You can like tell the Amazon deliverer to like do a chicken dance when he gets there. You can leave a note, tell the Amazon driver like,
go sing happy birthday to my daughter. Her bedroom's the left door in the back.
And sing happy birthday. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think that's where everything's going though, brother. Like, people, I see that going like so many ways. Like, even for me now that I look at my own business structure, I'm like, quite frankly, I despise having to go out to even get my hair cut now. Like, why is someone not coming to cut my hair right here? Like, I have the chair. There's an outlet right here. Just bring your cape and plug in, and let's just do it right here. I'll pay you $100.
Yeah.
Just come buzz my hair. Let's keep it easy. So, but past that, like, where is that going ultimately? It's obviously the internet's blowing up, as we've seen through this crazy pandemic. All these businesses, small businesses, getting shut down, and anything that's online is thriving. People are home, sure, savings at an all-time high, but people are still spending money like crazy, and especially online things. Jeff Bezos just made what, $17 billion just yesterday alone.
Dude, that's
It's crazy.
and he's the cornerstone of this convenience type of way of living, this instant gratification way of living, the way that things have slowly morphed into. Like we said, it's not longer the drive-through, it's come to me. And
Yeah.
companies
So
are
what's past that? Is there ever a past that? So that's where, for me, I really I consider myself a strong visualizer. For me, I try to spend at least a half an hour, sometimes an hour a day, just sitting there, just really, really, really thinking, about the year 2037. What is that year going to look like? What will I be doing?
right.
For me, that's what, 17 years in the future. I'll be 41. So it's like, what will 41-year-old Adam be doing? Like, what kind of car will I be driving? What's the temperature in the room going to be at, in my closet in my house? Like, I try to get it as specific as possible, everything. And then from there, it seems like that I kind of start speaking it into existence and, kind of start talking about it. And like, for me, I'm a huge believer in the power of manifesting. Like, there's something about the universe, when you think of something that you want and you kind of start preaching it aloud, start telling your friends and your family about it. And then the universe will kind of, at least for me, it always just kind of walks it right in front of my path.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, I was just talking about that. Now it's right in front of me and I can just grab it. And it's like, all right, now we're on to, the next thing.
Right.
So it kind of comes down to what, trying to think about what do you want, like I said, coming up with the questions. If you can sculpt the questions, you're more than halfway there. But I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, coming up with the questions can be harder than finding the answers. Sometimes, coming up with your own schedule can be harder than just saying, all right, here's 100 things to do, just go do it. And for me, that's the case. Sometimes, like, if someone came to me with a list of, here's all these things you got to go get done, and they can be brutal. It's like, all right, roger that. Let's start checking them off. But sometimes it could seem even harder, being like, all right, you have to come up with your own things that you have to do, your own steps, your own processes. So you have to think about what you have to do in the right order, and then you have to execute on it. So it's past the executioner level. So it does kind of come down to the visionary level. Like, what do I want? What am I chasing? And then how do I start backtracking that? And how do I start formulating the correct questions to ask myself? Because I think that's a lot of what it is. It's how do I ask myself better questions? And then I think when you start asking yourself better questions, you start searching for better answers. And then once you start getting those better answers, you just ultimately start enjoying a better lifestyle.
Right.
And you're happy.
And I love that idea of asking questions because, one, we don't all know the answers. And two,
Right.
when you have a why behind it, and that why encompasses so many things. And that question, why, to me means so much, because not only does it mean things for me in my personal life, but say I have a goal of, okay, I want to increase sales this year by 10K. Okay, how? There's the question. How are we going to do this? Here's a goal. And then how are we going to do this? I'm going to do this. I'm going to make 10 more calls a week. I'm going to put 3 more hours in. And then it becomes consistency, too, major thing. And then consistency turns into what? Habits. And those
habits turn into characteristics.
And those literally become subconscious. Those become that you do out of habit.
Just because you do it.
Right.
Like, why do you get up to the gym every morning? I just do.
It's just, it's a thing that I feel off if I don't do it. That's a good habit.
Right.
And you can do that the same way with bad habits. So it's being,
if I don't do a bad habit, I don't feel good. They both go so hand in hand. And it's, I think it does come down to like what we were saying, like it's the dopamine. You're wanting that quick fix. And that's humans' nature. Like humans will always want the quick fix in order to, but like that's the whole goal. Is like the longer, whatever that quote is, whoever can go the longest without I don't know, I'm totally butchering it, without satisfaction or without reaping the benefits of it will win.
Right. Yeah. It's like the tortoise and the hare. You know,
Yeah.
don't go off sprinting. When you're being methodical and it's thought out and it's done right versus something that's may catch a little attention at first, but isn't going to be sustainable. Almost like the diet we talked about earlier. It all carries over to that as well. And I feel like when you are self-aware and you are being aware of, okay, this is a bad habit. That's the thing. When we get stuck in that, hamster wheel or whatever you want to call it, but we're not realizing that we're in it, is when we get in trouble and we look back 5-10 years later or 6 months later and things have just blown up in our face and we don't realize how we got here. Well, it's because we were too distracted with whatever else is going on that we didn't actually.
And that's a dangerous recipe, but I believe a more dangerous recipe than that is knowing that you're on the bad habits, but still continuing to stay on the bad habits. Then what does that lead to?
Yeah.
So once you're being self-aware is good, but to the point of where you're able to correct yourself. But if you have this much self-awareness, but, only this much drive, you're going to be probably going crazy because you're going to be aware of how shitty of a person you are and all the the daily fuck ups you're encountering, but you're not going to really do anything about it. So you're just going to kind of continue to go down that pathway. And it's like, I've missed the gym 4 weeks in a row, but what's another day? Where it's like, no, if you go to the gym today, it's still like, just start right now.
Still a win.
It's still a win. It's still a win.
Yeah. And it's,
that's huge.
Yeah. It's being able to know.
It comes down to the January 1st mindset, brother. It's like people that come down to like new year, new year, new me, new goals.
Yeah.
I hate that. It's like, dude, like, just change right now. Like, let's get the head start. We're halfway through Q3. Like,
that's correct.
We're almost into 2021. This whole year was pretty much a bust for the most part.
A blur.
Yeah.
A blur. Like,
yeah.
July's almost over. Summer.
I mean, 2020 was literally the biggest cock block in human history to date. Like, dude, I mean, everyone's coming in hot thinking this is going to be my best year yet. And it's like, yeah, hold on a second.
Press the
How much money would you have bet your entire life savings last year if someone came up to you and they're like, hey, this time next year, the government's going to make it mandatory for everyone to wear masks? Like, what kind of mask? What are you talking about?
So weird. I feel it's like a movie. Who knows? It's going to be a pandemic and a civil rights movement, and
there's a lot of things happening right now at the same time.
And just unemployment. I mean, just all of the things.
A lot of things just daily kind of grabbing at your in the realm, just trying to pull your attention. And that's where it's going.
This is something that has been actually on my mind today because, like I said, I started my morning bad today. I didn't get up right away. And then I felt like that dragged over. And then I'm at the gym and I'm like, where's this pep in my step? Like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to understand too, is that it's not the thoughts that you have, because everybody has these bad thoughts and everybody has these bad days, but it's the thoughts that you attach to. You gotta, listening to Kobe.
It's the actions that come from the thoughts.
Yeah. I was listening to Kobe. He was on some type of interview. I saw it on social media, and he was basically saying, I used to be, before a big game or whatever, I'd be nervous. And someone would ask if I was nervous. I'd be like, no, I'm not nervous. Or
right.
For a big deal or before a big case for me or whatever, I go in like, no, I'm not nervous. But it's more like, this is a feeling and an emotion that's going to come and go. Take it for what it is, and then realize that it's not going to last forever. Embrace it and own it, and then move on. Don't hold on to things. Because,
dude, I mean, it's literally like that. Here, I got to find that paper for you. It's like that chart. Here it is. The my life in weeks.
Dude, I love that when you posted that. That was great.
So this, if I get all the way down here, I'll be 90 years old. Me personally, I want to live to be 114. One of the things I've been. This is my ultimate manifest. I will live to be 114 years old. Okay.
Holy shit.
And get this, I'm gonna choose to die at 114. I'm just gonna call it quits myself. But 114 is my number. Okay, I'm gonna be tapped out. This is if I live to be 90, okay? This looks like I'm literally a third of the way there.
Dude, that's scary. I don't like it.
Dude, each row is an entire year of my life. Each dot is only 1 week, but man, it's something. When you know how fast a week goes, but you just press one little dot on this page. I mean, enough dots will add up to the whole page.
Dude, that's scary.
Yeah. You know, you eventually start putting one little marker dot on each, just anywhere on this page. That could even probably fill up an entire day of your life, and you're eventually going to run out of paper.
Dude.
So it's like, when I look at this, I shit my pants every day.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, holy shit. Like, but I want to let's figure out this stuff right here instead of right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's my goal. And I think, Mason, we're doing that, brother. Like, we're both young guys, and it's like, but we're both on the same train of like, we're forever kind of shaping that new societal norm of what the alpha male is. The alpha male is not anymore a big juice head that wants to get into a fight. Like, the alpha male is the type that'll walk in and will always speak up when he sees, the wrong thing, when someone's getting talked to or, treated wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both will always stand up. And regardless if that makes us and everyone else feel uncomfortable, if it's the right thing to do, we must do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And
I think that those are the super important, just little day-to-day things that will really ultimately shape our future, like, let alone, our kids and our country's future. It's when you see the wrong thing, say something, and if you're quiet on a big subject or, something that just happened in front of you that's kind of a big deal and you just let it slide under the rug, you're part to blame for that.
Right. It's, yeah. I mean, it's about the whole, like you said, the toxic masculinity thing. I love this subject. People are probably hearing me talk about it, but I think it's so important because vulnerability is not a weakness. And I've said this multiple times. It's not. And
dude, it's such a strength, bro.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's such a strength. It's like, would you rather be, the bully in high school that, everyone thinks is going to win the fight, or the kid that no one thinks is going to win the fight? Like, let me be that kid. Because, dude, if I just happen to just catch your chin at the right time and I knock you out, like, forever king. But, if the bully gets knocked out one time, that's game over for that guy.
Right.
So it's like, if you always kind of keep that, it's keeping that underdog phase while still obviously always being kind and being, a good person, but you never stepping above your boundaries, because, the second you get out of your humbleness and start talking about money, and especially for me, like, that's kind of one of those things, my lifestyle and, like, things I'm doing now is super cool. I would have been blown away if you would have told me what my life would look like now 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
But, the people I surround myself with now, if I even try to start to even begin to flex, I will immediately get squashed. Like, I just can't. I have no room to even talk. So it's like, let me just listen. Back to, how can I fabricate better questions? Like, what are better questions I can ask these guys that respect me, that will give me the right answer?
Mm-hmm.
But they can only give me the best answer for the best question I can ask.
Right. It makes me think about when you were talking about the chip on your shoulder, the underdog kind of mindset. It reminds me of Tom Brady. Like, he was drafted in the last pick, I think. It was way late in the NFL draft. He looked extremely unathletic if you've ever seen the video of him running his 40.
What year was that in?
Dude, I don't know. He's been playing like 20 plus years.
He's no underdog anymore. And he's right up here, dude. He's right up here in Tampa Bay.
Dude, he's – okay, so to me, the two hardest positions are quarterback and defensive back. Everything is a little bit different.
You play defensive back? I know you were the QB.
No, I never played DB, but I just think it's hard because the receiver knows what they're doing and the DB has no clue. If you're talking like man-to-man defense, that's tough. Obviously, sometimes they're just dropping into zones. And then obviously quarterback, you got extremely large men flying at you trying to knock.
Now let me ask you this, Mace. Have you ever looked at sports, like let's say a football team, because you're very familiar with football, you were the quarterback. have you ever compared a football team to, let's say, you know, a company, like
Oh yeah.
employees? You know, so who's the quarterback? Is the quarterback the CEO? Is the quarterback the shot caller, or is the CEO the head coach? Like, how do you look about that? Like, who's the linebacker, who's the center?
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar structured because it's an organization and they're both organizations. You know, you have a chain of commands. You have somebody who you report to, whether you're for me, I'm in a territory, Little Rock Central Territory. I have a sales territory manager of that. And then it's broken into divisions. Like, I may be responsible for these facilities, but in turn, I answer to him. He's responsible. And then you have upper.
His boss has a boss.
Right, exactly. So it's like a CEO is an owner of a team or a coach of a team. There's, your assistant coaches, there's your vice presidents, there's your team members, there's, guys on your sales force or guys on your whatever, your job is, guys that are helping you out, guys that are your employees. So I think there's so much turnover when it comes to that. And it taught me a lot of lessons, taught me how to deal with adversity, taught me how to deal with hardships and deal with this, learning how to be disciplined.
Deal with the losses,
That's a big,
it's not, it's one of those things that you get, when you're on the field crying, your girlfriend's standing on the sidelines watching you, like, that's a loss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to reap that.
Right. The biggest thing to me, and I've had this conversation before, but the biggest thing to me is learning how to fail and get back up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get knocked on your ass. There's always someone out there that's bigger and better and stronger and faster and
forever
to knock you on your ass. But
forever. Always someone richer and prettier.
Exactly. It's how you're going to get up and respond, because nobody's perfect. And I feel like there's this weird stigma these days, especially with kids younger and even up into their young adults like we are, that we have this facade of, oh, look what this person's doing. Look what that person's doing. I should be there. I should be here. Okay, well, stop complaining about it and go do it. Like, that person, sure, some people may have got a break, but I guarantee you the majority of those people grinded and fell on their face a million times before they got to where they were.
Yeah. I mean, that's like what they say, success, it's not easy. Everyone wants it. Anyone that says it doesn't want it is just lying to you. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to find love. But ultimately, I look at it like the universe you will fail. But, if you're a hopeless romantic and you go out and your girl cheats on you and you're devastated, there are the guys that never date again. For me, when I crashed my motorcycle, I fell off my bike going 90. I was fucked up. I hopped on a bike when I still had a cast on after I told mine because I wanted to ride again. So it's like there's a type that, like, you either will get back on the bike or you won't. And it's like the quicker you can get back on the bike, if you're going to get back on the bike, let's just get on the bike right now. And let's just keep pedaling. Let's keep going. And you kind of just start figuring that out, as it goes. It's like you just got to keep getting up.
Yeah.
Because you only lose if you quit.
It's fear. It's living fear-based. And that's not a way to live. We all have fears and we all have things that we're scared of, but being reactive.
I mean, that's our natural default.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
I mean, it is. Like, I don't think you can't change that. Fear is my natural default. Like, right now, I'm fearful. I haven't been turned around, but I'm like, is anyone standing behind me? I know there's not. I'm in my own shop. The door's locked, but I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking, like, is there any, I'm in here by my Mace. You got my 6, right? Tell me someone's behind me.
Gotcha.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I am right now, I'm trying to survive. Naturally, my body's like, yo, are there any threats? Like, I'm always scanning for threats.
That is a natural human behavior, like a Neanderthal.
We'll never be able to get out of that, ever. At least for me, I won't. I can go to the nicest restaurant anywhere, and I would still prefer to sit in the corner of the restaurant. I want to keep a watch. I want to just see what's going on. Right. Just in case. Like, it's like I would just rather be prepared than not. And I look at that with a lot of different circumstances, like, but just because there might be doesn't mean you have to necessarily be scared of it, but you have to be mindful that this or that might happen. But if it does, no factor. Let's fucking get it. Like, let's just keep moving.
Mm.
It's no factor.
Have you been eating some really good seafood while you've been in Florida?
Dude, I'm about to go get some good seafood tonight, man. Taking the girl out, taking my sister out.
Oh, the sister's in town. That's right. And
Yep.
his girlfriend thing been going.
Oh, the girlfriend thing. Shout out to Courtney. Yeah, Courtney, been dating her for 4 months. Good little new fling, It's fun. It's fresh.
Yeah.
It's that pure love we all,
Pure bliss.
lust for.
The pure.
Yeah.
Man, how is the sister doing? How's she doing? How's everything
Yeah, Emily too. Yeah, Emily's great. Yeah, she is. She's a good sister.
Good. I mean, that's so important. And both of us, I think, hold that value true of how important family is. And
yeah.
And that's the biggest thing in the world to me is family. I think that is for you as well. I actually my sister last night, and she's bomb in the kitchen. Shout out Maddie. She's really good at baking.
Shout out Maddie.
Cooking. She could bake. She'd be
dude. Cookie. A Maddie with one eye can sling in the kitchen, no doubt.
She pulled the Chad Ochocinco and got the name spelled changed to Maddie with one eye.
Let's go.
No. Yes. But last night she made homemade pizza crust. Like, she made homemade pizza, like all of it was from scratch. But the crust was like flour and Greek yogurt and something else. But it was so bomb. I ate it for breakfast this morning. I woke up. I was like, I don't have that much.
Oh, dude, that's like the time when I was a kid. I was with my dad and we were at my uncle's house, and we woke up the next morning and we were eating breakfast, and my aunt went and found my dad, and she was like, Adam ate is eating pizza for breakfast. Are you going to do something about it? My dad goes, only if it was the last piece of pizza.
If he leave any for me.
He's like, I'm only going to be mad if it was the last piece. That's about it. It's funny though.
Yeah. Speaking on your dad, I know that he was a huge influence in your life and like a big
massive
everything that you do now. And I think my pawpaw was similar, obviously, close to a father figure to me, not my dad, but tell me a little bit about how that has shaped you as a man now. And I know obviously tough. I mean, I couldn't even imagine at a young age.
Yeah. I mean, it's a daily struggle. I mean, for me, I'm open about it. Like, I can say, 3 days ago, I had a minor breakdown at my house. Just like it's out of nowhere. I'll just start, a thought will pop into my head, and I'll try to start, kind of easing that thought away, and it kind of gets me down. And I was kind of finding myself in that sad, trap coming back from St. Louis. And, there's so many good memories of St. Louis. Every time I go back there, I love the city. It's an amazing city. But, that's where I'm from. That's where my dad raised me. My family raised me. But my dad got sick when we were in high school. Found that out at the end of junior year of high school. He had cancer. That just quickly led to, it was a quick turnaround, brother. Like he ended up dying our second week into summer, going into our senior year of high school, which it was a hard thing. I physically was there. I was there with him when he died. I was shaking his hand. Just kind of one of those things, you'll never forget. Watching your father's chest raise up and not really, drop and not really raise up again is, it's just something, just a sight you'll never forget. And when I look at that, my dad was a huge business guy. He was always a business kind of guy, always let's figure it out. But for me, he died when I was 17. So I never really got to ask him any good questions. I always kind of just bullshitted with him and just kind of beat around the bush, like we were just juniors in high school. So we were all just kind of having fun, not really paying attention yet. And
right.
Now I look at that, it's like, man, the questions I would ask him, that I could ask him, if he was still here, I could call him and, he could literally answer any single question I could ever think of in a second. So it's a mix of, missing that while still being mindful and aware that, if he wouldn't have died, I would have maybe never moved to Florida, maybe would have never, completely had that entrepreneur thing just take off in my head. coming back to the point where, like I said, I do believe I was an entrepreneur at birth just because I was always doing these side hustles as a kid, even when he was around, always.
Yeah.
But just kind of one of those things, you know, I'm forever grateful for the man that he shaped me into be. But it is a shitty thing, you know, losing your dad. You know, he's been gone for 7 years now, and it seems like it just flew by. But it is one of those things, I think, you know, him kind of kickstarting that infamous senior year at Eureka High School. I think he was kind of one of the first ones to fall off on that. And then from there, you know, our friend Kathleen and Lauren and Chris followed, you know, quickly after that. And it was kind of a spiral from there. And, you know, I was joking around, I was, you know, kind of being semi-serious, though, with my girlfriend Courtney the other night, and was telling her, you know, maybe I should start taking some time to focus on, you know, maybe writing a book about these things that happened to us. And, you know, these are things that I know that these stories that I know that you can relate to some of them, and you experience some of these stories with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a big thing about people. Like, 19 years old was the hardest year for me, you know, because that was when, you know, I went to college. I dropped out after 2 months to being there at university. And, you know, it's rough coming home, and, you know, your current girlfriend at the time is a senior in high school, and all your buddies are still at college. Everyone's partying and living their life. And I came home and was just like, I don't like college. You know, none of my friends are here. I don't really have anything going on here. I just, you know, like, I got the job at the body shop. It was great. But the work life was great, but like the home life was just not good, you know. And there were so many things that happened from after my father passing to, you know, our friends dying, and just me used to looking at it like I was in the wrong spot at the wrong time for a lot of different individuals and a lot of different scenarios. It's where I feel like I've seen more of death than anyone really should, or probably an average person has.
Right.
But that kind of does sculpt me down to, like, you know, being the question asker, like, why did these things happen? Like, okay, I'm now to a point where, you know, my father dying, he died, you know, that was for me, not to me. You know, that happened for me so that I can forever go on to this bigger place and, like, really, really, really make it happen, and just completely blow anything he's ever done out of the water.
Right.
But still being, you know, mindful of, like, you know, these little light decisions, they have sometimes big consequences that we can't foresee.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at that and I'm like, you know, I've definitely experienced some things that, you know, I quite frankly haven't talked about. I'm always open to talking about these things, because I went through a very hard depression myself. And, you know, it's one of those things. I think the first step is being open about it. I think it's, you know, anyone admitting it, but especially kind of getting, you know, with our culture, like, it's fine, I think, for the alpha males to admit, you know, hey, I can still be an alpha male, but, like, at one point, or even maybe still now, I could still have a little depression in my system, and that's cool. You know, it's just fine. There's really nothing wrong with that. And, like, here's our reason for that, but, you know, it doesn't mean I can't do this or that. It's just a part of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And I know that he was so big to you in your life, but you're literally making him proud and carrying on a legacy every single day. And that's kind of how I feel about Pawpaw too. I was a younger age. I wasn't 17 or even in my teens when he passed, but one of those things where I still feel his presence and the things that he taught me at a young age, you know. And it's a crazy thing, actually. I was talking to my cousin about, you remember this, DJ X, Night Glow. So we had
Back to entrepreneur, brother. Did I ever tell you I made almost $3,000 selling T-shirts at high school that year?
Did you really?
In about a month. I went online. I tried to figure out where I can get these T-shirts made. I bought them. I sold them. I think I sold them for $20 each at, you know, $3 a cost. It was crazy. And I went to school every day for 3.5 weeks with 0 books or any notebooks in my bag, and I just stuffed them with T-shirts of all different sizes and just slinged them during past. I was late to every single class, every day, every class for a whole month.
Yeah.
But I was going into each new class, bro. I swear to God, with $250 more in my pocket.
Yeah, you're like,
it was crazy.
I was in the bathroom slinging T-shirts.
Slinging that legal money. Like, let's go, you know?
I think I've made more money than you did this month.
But that was one of those things, you know, like, so, yeah, about DJX, you know, I DJ'd the junior and senior year. Dan said, at Eureka. But it was one of those things I approached a teacher and I'm like, hey, you know, it used to be one of those roundabouts where the girls asked the guys. It was always kind of a fluke. And I'm like, man, this shit's pretty lame. Like, it'd be way more fun if we got some black lights in here and got a little ratchet, had some fun with this shit. And he's like, all right, let's give it a try. And like, I mean, that literally turned into my senior year, you know, me getting paid to even DJ my dance, let alone selling t-shirts, making more money, having just the fun of that, you know, blowing the whole left side speakers out in the first 5 minutes of the dance. That's the fun shit, you know, like that we won't, you know, no one can take from us. Like that was a fun night for sure. Definitely a good memory.
Dude, that night was.
And there's pictures of that, dude. It seemed like, dude, you would have thought I was, you know, Diplo or some shit up there. We were banging. We were banging, dude.
That was the night. I was talking about that night with my cousin because he actually got to be there for that game, and that was my last game of my senior year in basketball.
Wow, special night for you, Mace.
Yeah, I broke the school record for points in a game, and I just remember.
Still?
Yeah, still.
What was it?
51.
Dude.
51. The
only time I ever made a basket in basketball when I did play basketball was on the wrong side. And I was like, yeah, why is no one celebrating this shit? And I scored on my own basket, dude.
Yeah. What I was circling it around back to is Hunter, my cousin, we were talking about it, and he was like, man, Pawpaw was there that night. He was like, Pawpaw was there that night. And it's just one of those things, like your dad's still with you. It's just in a different way. There's a different vibe, but I can still feel Pawpaw, and I know you can still feel your dad. And it's one of those things that's weird. You can't explain it very much. And like you said, you get emotional about it sometimes because it's real. But
and it is hard to explain, you know, especially, you know, once you have, you know, that significant other. And it's like, you know, when I do have these episodes, because I do, and it's not always about my father.
Right.
You know, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's always about someone or something I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But when those things do arise, you know, as with anything, I try not to mask my emotions, you know. So if this is really bothering me and I really can't stop like kind of replaying these images in my head and it's really making me sad, I will kind of just, all right, let's just embrace this. Like, so what if I cry right now for 15 minutes in front of my girlfriend? Like, these are things that, you know, she can try to understand, but she probably won't ever. And I could say the same about myself because, like, you know, I'm trying to understand these things too. But when it gets to that point, you know, it is kind of one of those things because I was at that point, you know, when I was 19, when I did let these things bottle up. And that led to a lot of really, really, really bad thoughts that, you know, no one should ever experience.
Yep.
And should also be able to, you know, openly talk about it. So it's like now I know that, you know, I'm comfortable in my own skin to where it's like, if I ever do start feeling depressed and like, you know, going down one of these spirals again, I'm open enough. I can get on, you know, open air and talk to you about this on a podcast and release it to the whole internet. Like, yeah. I'm open with these things because it's like, at the end of the day, dude, hopefully someone that's listening to this, like if you are ever suicidal or ever having those thoughts or, you know, you think you're at a bad spot where you can't get out of, like, for one, me and Mason are both extremely accessible.
100%.
Like, we're both the type of guys that you could call us out of the blue. We don't even know who you are, and we'll spend an hour on the phone with you. And I bet you will be laughing and shitting 30 minutes through it. You know, but like, that is important. I think that's an important message to say to anyone. You know, it could literally be any age group, anyone, but it's like, you know, for me, it's like sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'll like make a post like, hey, if you're feeling sad or, you know, suicidal today, hit me up. Here's my cell phone number. And I'll get people to hit me up and they're like, yo, you feeling all right? Dude, I feel amazing today. But someone else might not. Yeah. You know, like my best day is going to be someone else's worst day.
Yeah. And vice versa. I mean, it's
vice versa.
It's an ebb and flow, and you being there for somebody, it's a crazy thing how it works, because when you stop looking inward and you start looking outward, as far as, yes, we need to look in and be real with ourselves and be vulnerable. And like you said, I think vulnerability is power when it comes to, you know, your mental state and all of those
things. Except being open to it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
feeling it.
feeling it, accepting it, and then not holding on to it is the biggest thing. Realizing that it's an emotion that comes and goes, recognizing it is what it is at that time, but that it's not going to be a forever kind of feeling.
Right. It's always quick-lived, man. And I could give you a vulnerable example of this just from this past weekend, brother. I don't even know if I told you this, but so we go, Harrison's a good friend of ours that we went to his house, and his parents just got a new house in Wildwood, which is where my mom's house, was close by too, back when I was living in St. Louis. And when all this stuff was going on, when I was about 19 or so, I got into a fight with my girlfriend. I ended up drinking. I ended up taking my car down 100, and I ended up just pulling in this side road of this person's house. And I had no idea where I was. My mom was calling me endlessly. I'd answer the phone if I did, fuck you, mom, I'm not telling you where I'm at. I was in that spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was in that moment, but I was there for hours, brother. I had a gun in the car, and I was having bad thoughts. And somehow I got the courage and the strength to drive my car back home that night and just go to bed. And then 4 years later, we're in St. Louis for a friend's wedding, and we pull on the same street, and Harrison's house is that house.
Shut up.
Swear to God. And I've not been on that street ever before that in my life, and ever since that in my life.
Bro, I just got extreme chills.
Yeah.
Chills
That's Harrison Street.
Down my spine.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I pulled on that street, and I just mentioned it to Jay, and I was like, dude, literally all I said when we pulled on the street, I said, bro, last time I was on the street, I pointed the spot right by the tree. I remember what tree. Well, I remember exactly where I parked on the street. And I said, last time I was here, I almost shot myself in the face right there.
Bro.
And I'm like, and just the way I said it, he didn't even have to ask a question. He just knew, and we kind of just, gave each other knuckles and was like, dude, but it's like, man, I could have ended my entire story right there.
Right. And I think that's a message to everybody listening that's feeling.
It's huge, bro. And it's like, dude, when I look at that then, and sure, it gave me a little bit of like, it was more so like, holy fuck, I'm so glad I made the right decision, because I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't even want to think about if I made the other decision.
Right.
But it's something about, being that close back again to that feeling, but now having enough mental capacity to be able to handle that and digest that and be able to properly sort that to a specific area of my brain that's like, all right, I understand this. I'm okay that happened and I got to that point. But now, and I'm also allowing myself to, I'm not saying I'm not ever allowing myself to ever get there again, but I don't obviously want to. But now if I even start going down that rabbit hole, I have unlimited pockets of people that I can reach out to, just stop me from that point if I couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. Like, people need people to put their arm on. You need someone to lean on, someone that you can call on. And it's not just, when I'm sad, and I'm not saying this because I am sad. I feel very satisfied and I feel very happy in my life right now. Yeah. But I've experienced enough negative things to where if I think about those, I will ultimately alter my state. And that's something that, you can choose to do, ebb and flow with the pros and the negatives. If you're coming into one of those sad spots, all right, let's embrace this and let's figure out, think about why this happened and, see if we can get a lesson from it. Yeah. And, start digesting that. But, for me, like I said, I mean, Mason, I am convinced, the things that I did experience from, being 17, from when my dad died to really 20 was, the year I moved down to Florida. That 3-year gap, brother, will be a gap that I will write a book about that will change life someday. Because I think that the stories that I'll be able to tell from the things that happened then and all the different scenarios that happened to me and that I ultimately put myself into those situations or another source put me into those situations. Now I can kind of hopefully save someone the turmoil of that. And it's like, hey, look, man, you don't even get in the car to begin with. Like, just go upstairs and just have the conversation with your mom. Like, just start talking. You don't have to do all these crazy shit to prove a point, you know?
Yeah. And the whole question of what would you tell your 15-year-old self, your 13-year-old prepubescent hormones going crazy self. And at that time, we don't think that way. We're talking and having a conversation now because we've gone through things. We've learned a lot of situations, but
and so I think when you reach adulthood, so now when I look at that and it's like, like my mom had cancer, and if my mom was on the same track as my dad, I would have had, no parents for over a year now, almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something when my mom told me that she had cancer, it was a very, very, very similar way to when my dad told me that he had cancer. Like we were both at a restaurant. They almost phrased it the exact same way. It was just a very, almost like, here we go again type of feeling, like straight, just sickness. Like,
mm-hmm.
And I had to, I did have to, like I said, I'm a visualizer. I visualized being at my mom's funeral. And was like, can I handle this? And then that quickly brought me to gratitude, and was like, look, if God forbid, if we have to go through that shit again, and I have to, put to bed my other parent, I know I have this entire group of guys and people and girls that I can fall back on that was there for me when my dad died at his funeral. And, and it's like, I can do that. So, now I can thankfully say, my mom, she's cancer free. She's healthy. Like that's amazing. It's the best blessing ever. But you just have to be aware of that. And like, time is ticking. It really is. But you have to just be aware and just thankful of all the lessons that you get from every individual on this planet, whether that's lessons that you get over the span of 20 years or 20 seconds with a conversation, holding the door open for someone. Like, I believe that not everyone is going to give you a lesson, but if you're open and you're looking for opportunities and you're always walking around with your chin up and what new lesson or opportunity can I learn today, the universe will just flood you with nuggets, but if you're out there looking for the negative and things that I could be sad about, there might be, quite frankly, more of that to consume you with. So it's just fixating on what do you want, visualizing, I want this. And then I start speaking it aloud, and the universe will then, like I said, just walk it right in front of me and I take it. So it's not one of those things. I'm not, let's not get fixated on the negative. But on the same sense, when you are in those negatives, you have to know it's temporary is number one. It's quick. You're going to get out of it. More so importantly, once you start getting over those negatives, you'll start realizing that, like, I look at myself like I'm a mental warrior, dude. There's nothing that could happen in my life I'll be okay. It's like if my mom and my sister and my entire family died, I would be okay. It would be very hard, but I would be okay. So it's like, all right, once I'm there, you kind of just start being a lot more thankful and very grateful. And it's how do I actually make something out of this? And then from there, the next time you come into a fail, it's like, all right, cool. I've gotten over this again. So now when life starts giving me hurdles or setbacks, I get almost sexually turned on. It's like, fuck yeah, here we go. Something good's about to happen. I don't know what it is, but something good's about to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where on the flip side of that, when a lot of good shit's happening, I'm like, yo, bro, this shit's temporary too.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. When the good keeps flowing in, good will not always come in. It's like something bad might be coming up. Someone might have to get fired. I might lose some clients. Something might happen. But I'm going to be okay.
Right. It's that staying on your toes. And that is, we were talking about earlier, the football lessons for when I did quarterback through, if I throw an interception, if I throw a touchdown, okay, yes, celebrate with your teammates, and then you're back to even keeled. If you throw an interception, my bad boys, even keeled. You own it, move on. And it's not saying – the biggest thing too, though, that I think is sometimes people put way too much weight on their losses and not enough weight on their wins.
Yeah.
Because it's like – and I think both of us and any other high performers or anyone else, I think a lot of people can relate to.
I mean, I'm guilty of that too. We both are.
Yeah. it's like, okay, what's next, which is okay. It's okay. We're wired as high performers to do that. But at the same time, count your blessings, gratitude, thankfulness. Like you said, those are powerful things in saying, okay, let's look at this perspective. I just got a new client, or I just did this, or I woke up this morning. As simple as that could be, you know.
I mean, it's what Brad Lee says. You know, shout out to Brad Lee. You know, good podcast. And he talks about it's the $1 million morning. You know, if you go up to any stranger, a homeless person, I want to give you $1 million in cash. Here's $1 million. Go do whatever you want with it. What's the catch? You just can't wake up tomorrow morning, and you're not going to wake up ever again. Do you want it? Do you want it? Fuck no.
Yeah.
10 million? No. So it's like, all right, cool. So once you start thinking of shit like that to like a real science level of like, all right, if I woke up saying I made $1 million today, dude, I would be stoked. I'd be running around my entire complex naked eating some fucking cake, dude. I wouldn't give a shit if I was making $1 million today.
Just
right?
My head. Talk about visions.
It's crazy. I mean, the day, and both of us, you know, I will have $1 million day, and so will you.
Yeah.
You know, and that day is going to come. But I know at the end of that day, I'm probably going to feel the exact same as I do now, making $5,000 a day.
Yep.
It's going to be the same feeling. But it's like, all right, you know, then obviously once you get it, it just highlights more of a person that you are. You know, are you a bad person or are you not?
Yeah.
For me, it's like,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
I was saying my dad used to have a funny saying. He said, if you're an asshole sober, you're going to be a bigger asshole drunk. That's the same thing. You're
the truth, bro.
ever, you know, if you're a great person and you give a great person a lot of money, they're probably going to do some great things with it. If you're an asshole, or, you know, if you're a jerk, you give a jerk a lot of money, probably going to make them bigger jerk.
Bigger jerk. Yeah.
So
I think when you start looking at things like that, mixed with obviously my, you know, my life in dots, this puts it in massive perspective. And when you think about it like $1 million morning, like, all right, if this day is worth more than $1 million, more than $10 million, is it worth more than $100 million? Because there becomes a point where I can't spend $100 million in a day. It would be the most tiring day I've ever had. I'd be fucking exhausted.
yeah. So if you look at it,
I'd be like trying to find places to wire millions of dollars.
Right. I love that because it's like your day is
It's worth, dude, it's literally priceless.
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 There's no dollar sign that you could put on this day.
But now there's no one here to say how you have to spend your day.
Yeah, and I'm
not saying you have to go fucking crazy every day. That's also not sustainable. But it's like, all right, if this, you know, it's a mix of, let's say I did take that deal. How do I want to do it? You know, that's how I look at my life. All right, cool. We hustled. We really did it. We got $1 million liquid in cash. And I don't think you're rich unless you got, you know, $1 million, $100 million liquid in cash, 9 figures, cash, ready to fucking ball. You're rich. You got $100 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what? How are we going to spend our time? So when I talk about visualizing, I've always visualized it. All right, cool. I'm already rich. All right, cool. I already bought all the houses. I already bought all the cars I want. I got all the yachts. I got everything. I got all the women. I got, you know, if you want the drugs, it's everything you ever wanted. Now what? And so I'm always looking at that. Now what? Okay, I got it all. I got everything I want. Now where am I going to spend my time? And now what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you're that filthy rich, it's like, do you want to just go, you know, fucking race around go-karts all day? Or do you want to go scuba diving? Or do you want to like what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So then I start thinking about my life, and it's like, all right, cool. If I can think about that, and it's like, maybe I just want to scuba dive all day. Dude, I can go scuba diving right fucking now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can go race go-karts right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, what do I want to do then? And obviously we all want the fun shit of, you know, laying out on a 250-meter yacht, you know, in a Gulfstream G550. That's amazing, but you still have to carry yourself everywhere you go.
Right. And that's,
you know You're always going to be with yourself anywhere you go.
That's the whole saying. Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
There you are. And that goes to exactly what we're talking
about. I know I can cry in a fucking Bugatti or in a fucking G550. And dude, I'm telling you, like, dude, like the times that I do cry, when I really cry, I don't give a fuck where I am. I just want someone there that loves me and that they don't have to be saying anything. Just be sitting there, just be with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that when you get to that point of either maximum happiness or ultimate sadness, anywhere in between, the materialistic shit, I think, just completely goes out the door. And you won't really give a fuck that you're in a $100 million plane anymore. You'll just care that someone's in your plane. And even if you have no passengers, you'll be happy that, you know, you got your pilot Mike on your payroll and he'll fucking listen to your problems.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mike the pilot and psychiatrist.
Mike the pilot and the psychiatrist, because he can't escape, you know?
It's funny that you talk about that, because I have always envisioned this one thing of me standing on a big yacht with like all the homies floating in the water, some super tropical place, and then enter a backflip off the yacht into the ocean. I have that vision, and it's going to happen one way or another.
Done. I mean, dude, when you said that, I just mapped it out myself, and like you're already in the water.
I see it a lot. I really do see it. But the like seeing things and envisioning things and being able to like play those things over in your head, the brain's so powerful and weird. I don't understand it at all.
It's massive. Dude, it's like there's science behind it. There has to be.
No, Dr. Daniel Amen, I'm going to put you on him right now. Go look at his stuff if you haven't heard of him. But he's a psychiatrist who started doing brain scanning. So instead of just like sitting, okay, Adam, what's your problems? How are you feeling today? Blah, blah, blah. Like we're having a normal, what we would think is therapy talk, right? He's like, okay, let's get to the root of the problem. All right, let's look at your brain. Let's see how the front cortex is functioning. Let's see, this part of the brain is doing this. This part of the brain is doing this. Well, he literally had a physical accident. I'm pretty sure he had a physical accident or illness. Don't quote me on this, but something happened to him. And he physically healed himself and has multiple accounts of people physically healing themselves from certain illnesses or whatever it may be through literally the power of their mind. And it sounds like some far out weird stuff. But
there's a power that I tell this to some of my friends sometimes, and no one believes me on this. You might have heard me say it. I definitely explained it to some people in St. Louis this weekend, but literally probably almost 5 years ago, I told myself for 3 hours in the mirror that I'm not going to get sick again. Repeatedly. I won't get sick. I'm not going to have a sore throat. I'm not going to get sick again. And I haven't been sick again. And I'm not to say that a human should not ever not be sick, because that might not be healthy either. But like when I'm telling you I haven't been sick, I haven't been sick. I used to get sick like pretty often, and I haven't been sick. It's the same thing as when I go to a gym and I'm at the gym and I just failed curling 25s. I'll give it 2 minutes, then I'll walk back and I'll grab 35s. But before I pick them up, I'm like, dude, this shit's going to be light as fuck. This shit is going to be so light, it's literally going to feel like a 10-pound dumbbell. And I'll pick it up and I'll curl 20 sets up with 35.
Yeah.
After I just failed 25. I think about that with so many different things, brother. And it's like even down to my first full calendar year in business, I did just over $50,000. And then I thought of a number. So I went to one of those masterminds. I went to a mastermind. Shout out to Cody Kearns, my buddy in Miami. He held a mastermind a couple years back, and there were about 30, 35 of us in there. And one of the speakers asked everyone to write on a paper how much money they would need to make next year that would kind of just blow their mind, like really make them feel like they just killed it. And I think I was the only person in the room that wrote a specific number. Everyone kind of just rounded $250,000, 500,000, $1 million. And it's like, yeah, you can visualize that. Like I can obviously visualize 250,000 with a comma or 500,000. But when it's in your bank account will never have $250,000 or $500,000.
Yeah.
Unrealistic as fuck. It's not possible. Right? So I wrote down in my book, I said $212,000, 840. And that at the end of that next calendar year, this was before that year even started, bro. and I was off by about $1,000, and it was spot on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, I should have wrote fucking 584, you know. And that comes down with everything. That came down to my girlfriend, you know, when I started realizing, you know, because I was single for 3 years. I'm like, I want to start getting back into the dating realm. I realize I'm more typically more emotionally and mentally mature than most guys my age. So I'm like, all right, cool. I want to date a girl in her later 20s. Ideally, I want her to be 28. Ideally, I like blondes. I like blue eyes. I like, you know, a pretty girl. I like a girl that, you know, is kind of that bad bitch down to ride, but also, you know, will smack you in the face if you're kind of fucking around.
Yeah.
All these like little things that I wrote down, and then she just slid into my DMs one day. And I'm like, I kind of checked her out, and I'm like, man, I'm getting catfished. I never thought I'd get catfished before. Like,
Where's that?
dude, your boy just got catfished.
Yeah, he's about to pop.
And we talked for a minute, and dude, she walked right into the shop one day. I told her where my shop was, and I was out in the shop working. I turned around, she's right there, and I'm like, God damn it. Like, you're just as gorgeous as I thought, like even more so. And I'm I'm realizing I'm not being catfished. I'm like, you know, kind of foaming at the lips. But I told her, I'm like, yo, I manifested you. Like I believe in that. Like you I didn't have to find you. I didn't have to, you know, reassure you or try to convince you. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I look at that so seriously. Like, same with her when I was telling her. So I've been manifesting a Rolls Royce Phantom. For me, I'm going to own a Rolls Royce Phantom before I'm 26. And I'm 24 and a half now. So I got, you know, about a year and a half to get this Rolls. And for me, I want a 2010 Rolls Royce Phantom used, extended wheelbase, you know, black with the black Forgiatos, the black grille. So I'm explaining this to my girlfriend when we're out drinking. And I didn't even bother showing her a Google image of the car I wanted. I just more so took it upon myself to visualize it in my head and just explain it to her in as most detail as I possibly could. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. Obviously, so I got Rolls Royce on my arm. I've had that tattoo for 5 years now, okay? So that was the first step of manifesting. I'm like, I want a Rolls Royce so fucking bad, I'm going to put this shit on my skin. And if I don't get one, then I will forever have to walk around with this loser trophy. A loser trophy. So I explained to her this Rolls Royce I want. The second I get done explaining it, after my last sentence, I put a period on it. She goes, you mean like that? And I turn around, and it rolled right by us. And it was just like that. Specifically the exact same.
That's so wild.
And I'm like, man, I can't tell you the last time I've seen a 2010 Phantom in the streets. I don't even know if I've seen that exact spec ever. And it was to the T, exactly when I said it, and we were in the right place at the right time. And her and I didn't even say a word, and we just watched it completely just drive out of our sight and just disappear. And, like, she just turned, and we just looked at each other, and I'm just like, you know that shit's going to happen, right? Like, you know that shit's legit. And it's spooky in my life how much it happens. I was telling her yesterday how, you know, with Andy Frasilla's 75 hard challenge, I bitched out on that shit. I hit 20 days and I failed. And I didn't restart it. And I've been wanting to restart it, and I'm going to restart it. And I was like, when I restart it, though, I must finish it. I must, or it's going to completely, like, my life depends on it. Okay?
It'll throw
so
off.
I was explaining to Courtney all the rules and, like, what 75 hard is, what the challenge is. Same shit. Right when I finished telling her, I'm driving her car 2 nights ago, and I looked down at the range on the fuel mileage left, 75 miles till empty. And I kind of look at her, and I'm like, God damn it. Because like, I got to do it now. Like, it means I got to do it.
What's the challenge?
75 hard?
Yeah.
It's Priscilla's challenge. It's 5 rules. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. You got to do 2 45-minute workouts a day. One of the workouts must be outdoors. They can be both outdoors, but 2 45-minute workouts, one of them outdoors. You pick a diet. It doesn't have to be skimming. For me, that's going to be a diet. It's going to be still eating a lot of calories, but more so no junk food, no shitty food, no sugars, like eating good, clean food.
Yeah.
With the diet is no alcohol. So for me, I'm not a huge alcohol drinker. I do smoke weed, so I'm going to substitute both of those in there for that. So it'll be no alcohol, no weed. Diet, 2 45-minute workouts a day, a gallon of water. And I believe the final or the fourth one is read 15 pages minimum of a self-improvement book a day. And the final one being take one progress picture each day. So it's a lot of shit.
When are you
So
going
you have to do August 1st. August 1st. So I'm giving myself, I got 8 days. I got 8 days to go crazy. Not really, but I mean, I'm still hitting the gym. I'm kind of getting myself in the mental capacity of like, all right, this shit's going to suck for 75 days. But then I start looking at, this chart and I'm like, look, I'm going to be done with this shit like right here. Like I got 9 dots with this and I'm good. But on my life board, I'm going to fill in 75 hard with each week ending with a red marker. So that once I hit that first week, it's like, all right, dude, I got that red dot. I need 9 more of those red dots, and then I can go back to black. But it's not a fitness challenge. Granted, if you go to the gym twice a day for 45 minutes for 75 days and you eat a diet, you're going to get shredded.
Yeah.
But it's a discipline challenge, bro. It's like, it's crazy discipline.
Bro, that's crazy discipline. 75 days is a long time.
Straight. And I got to 21 days and I went, you know how I failed? I did 30 minutes on an outdoor workout and I still did everything else. And then I got back that day and I was like, dude, I was already in bed and I knew I was about to fall asleep. And I'm like, I could go run for 15 more minutes outside, but I didn't. And that's one of those things I could have posted, cool, next day, number 24, number 23, whatever the fucking number was. No one would have known. I would have got to the end of the 75 days and I would have been like, but I didn't really do it. I kind of cheated, And so for me, it's like, dude, like even down to the minute. And even then, dude, if I work 45 minutes in the morning and I didn't fucking go hard, like do it again.
Right.
And it's like, it's about putting myself in the most uncomfortable positions that I can put myself in. And I find that growth really comes with being uncomfortable, ultimately.
Man, I might have to just do it with you.
You really should. But see, when I think about it, when you break it down into the days, all right, I drink a gallon of water a day as it is. All right, cool. I wake up in the morning, boom, let's fucking get it. I'm gonna go to the gym for an hour. I'm gonna walk on the elliptical, do the stairs for 30 minutes. I'm gonna read fucking 30 pages. So I got already my reading out. My first workout's already done. I'm already like more than a half a gallon through the day by 10 o'clock. Okay. My diet's going throughout the day. That's, kind of one of those things. Alcohol is going to be more of a night problem that I have to, kind of address, deal with, handle it. However, the outdoor workout, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, all right, cool. Let me, I'm blessed that I live in Sarasota, Florida. I can drive 15 minutes and I can go run the beach every night if I want to.
Yep.
That's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to go to the beach here tonight. And, it's any of those. It's doing push-ups outside. It's doing any of this, but it's like, man, that shit's going to suck. There's no one that looks at that and they're like, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's fucking do that. But if you can bring yourself to day 76, there's not one person that wouldn't be like, yeah, I for sure, without even seeing what it would be like, I want that person over this person. You're going to be better. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be cleaner. You're going to be already in the mindset of reading books every single day. You're going to be working out twice a day. You're going to be drinking water. You're not going to be eating any shitty food, no alcohol. You're going to be the best version of probably yourself in your entire life. But that's the formula of success, bro. It's like it's so fucking easy. Like being in shape is easy. Eat good and work out. It's not that easy though.
Yep. It's not. It's
But if you break it down on the daily day, and the more so the like, let's not even worry about winning the day. Let's see if we can just win this hour. Let me just see if I can just keep winning until 9 o'clock. Let's just keep this momentum rolling.
Right. So with all this being said, and you've had success in more ways than one, what is your definition of success?
My definition of success, me personally, is to live a life where I can surround myself with enough abundance of everything, that being wealth and love and understanding and all these other great attributes. It's surrounding myself with that and being able to disperse it and being able to regather it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So when I think about it, it's like, how do I make as much abundance and that's really comes down to a mindset, because you ultimately have the mindset of abundance or there's not enough. It's, if I have $1 million, you could think like, now I can't be a millionaire. No, it's like there is ultimate abundance. So for me, success for me is having all the ultimate abundance, but then being able to just freely give that out in any manner that I choose, being able to walk down the street and just make eye contact with someone I can see is not well off and be able to just approach them and just completely change their life. You know, not even give them the $50,000, but give them the guidance and like being able to ultimately change lives. That's what I want for me. I want to like ultimately change life. That's the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you learn when you get older. You're not worried about what I want for Christmas anymore this year. You get more excited now about watching someone else open up your gift that you bought them.
Yep.
You know, and that's just, it's a feeling that's hard to explain, you know, to someone that can't experience that for, you know, whatever reason, because they're, you know, not like that. They're not necessarily a good person. They're, you know, like you said, bad people will be more bad people when they get money.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me is, you know, my success. You know, I'll have to work on that sentence, if you will, because now, you know, you asking that has me like, I would like to get that down into an engraved sentence, maybe 2.
Yeah.
For me. And I think that comes back to the point of, like I said, you know, start asking better questions, you'll start finding better answers.
Absolutely. Man, Adam, we've had so much good stuff on here, and we could keep talking for an hour more. But, man, thank you so much for coming on.
I ain't going nowhere, Mace. We're brothers for life, bro.
For life. You know that. And we've been trying to get this going. You were one of the first guys I thought about. But I'm glad that we finally sat down and did it. And
hey, where's my plug for you know, did I have any impact in keeping Breathing Air alive or get it going at all?
That all right. We'll end with this.
Where's that story, bro?
So
give the people the story they want.
Okay. All right. So like I said, this is okay. So today is
we're number what, 23?
Today's the 23rd. So yesterday was the 22nd, and I dropped the 21st episode of Breathing Air. When I had this idea, there was a select few of people that I came to and discussed it with, Adam being one of them. I told him the vision for the show, what I wanted to accomplish, what I want it to be about. And he said, "Why haven't you started it?" I said, "I'm still trying to get everything together." He said, "No, fuck that. Send me an episode of your."
I said, don't leave that out, because I remember saying "fuck that" a lot.
He said, "Send me an episode tonight, or I'll never listen to your podcast. I'll still love you as a friend, but I will not listen to the show ever."
Yep.
I said,
no matter how big this gets, we could pass Joe Rogan.
Yeah. I said, I don't
give a fuck. I'll never give it 1 minute.
Yep. See, I'm over here giving excuses, and he's like, "Nope. If you don't send it."
I said tonight.
Yeah, tonight. So,
and here's my plug to you, bro. I said tonight. I put my phone down, and when I woke up that next morning, I already had a link, and I listened to that driving to work that day, and I was like, dude, I was shook. I'm like, dude, he really fucking did it. You know, it was you just talking to the mic, bro. You just expressing your feelings, but I could tell it did something for you, and therefore it ultimately did something to me. And you know, that's powerful. You know, that says a lot about you.
Yeah. I mean, it says a lot about you too. You held me accountable, and those are the people that you want in your life. Because I told one of my close buddies the story, and he goes, "Wow, that dude's a savage." I was like, yeah. And that's the guy.
I mean, dude, it was borderline, like almost me. Like when you said that, I was like, damn, I only said podcast, because I thought in my mind, I thought I told you I would never speak to you again in general.
You said, I remember you said, I'll never.
No, you're right. You had it right. Yeah.
I was deep into the idea and I was committed to it. I just didn't have mics. I didn't have any setup. I didn't know how it was going to get on Apple Pod. I didn't know anything. And like, you better send. I literally downloaded an app on my phone that was like some app.
What do? You just speak in your phone?
Phone for the episode. And I just recorded like 45 minutes long. And I was just like,
that was the never released podcast. We will soon release. Let's episode 100 first.
Ooh, episode 100.
That was the demo. I think that was never even demo. That's never even been released.
No, it has not, dude.
But it was the podcast of you just talking into the microphone, like almost, I think, directly after we got off the phone, and it hit different, bro. I mean, it was something special.
Yeah, it was just off the top of my head. And I looked down and it was 45 minutes and I was like, whoa, maybe this is something that I should do, because it felt like almost therapy for myself too. Being talking.
This has been therapy for me. What was your last Oaks? What was her first name?
Anna Oaks. Yeah.
Anna. Yeah. Exactly. Like she said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of people say that after we get done. They're like, wow, I haven't talked about that in a long time. And it's crazy to me. And it just shows me that I'm doing something that I was supposed to do, and that I went with the gut feeling of using my gifts in a positive way. There's a quote that I like: own your gifts, own your gaps. Own the things be confident in them, use them to the best of your ability. Just like you're good at certain things in the business, but other things you may not be as proficient. So own your gifts, own your gaps, and realize that you are blessed with gifts. Like
Hey, let's rewind it real quick. If you're listening to this podcast, you're fucking blessed. You know what I'm saying? If you got a smartphone where you got service and a plan where you can even look this shit up, you got way more fucking opportunity than you even know what to do with.
Yeah, it's at your fingertips. The internet is the most crazy thing.
Yeah. And it's the same at your fingertips. If you're there, you have all that opportunity. But same thing, like we said earlier, if you are, one of those things I'd like to address too before we get off, if anyone's ever in those spots where you're down in the dumps, slide through on either one of our DMs, hit us up. We are the dudes that would take the time to, the same way that I hold Mason accountable on starting this podcast is the same way that you and I both, Mason, would hold someone accountable on making sure that they're taking care of themselves and, keeping up on the promises they made to themselves. Because I think that is super important.
Right. And we both have expressed the feeling that we get when helping others, and feeling like we're pursuing something bigger than ourselves, feeling like we're pursuing something that we were meant to do, and that makes us feel better than anything else. So that is
really blissful.
I preach it all the time, and Adam just did. I say this every show. If you ever want to reach out to me, I'm always available as a resource to anything that you think you would ask that I could maybe help you out with. So whether that's mental, physical,
even then,
anything.
At bare minimum, a listening ear. Sometimes a listening ear is more valuable than most people could ever imagine.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. Adam, thank you so much.
I love you, Mace. Thank you, brother.
You, brother. And all the love, and we'll talk soon, man.
Keep getting after it, bro.